So I have presented a kind of course content. So that is what we will cover. So I'm like try to cover all the kind of basic for the Davinci, so that you should be able to kind of go ahead with your work. So whole idea is, so the targeted audience is like anybody who wants to be kind of Davinci administrator, or anybody who wants to kind of work and develop flow with Davinci and a Penguin. So they will be kind of definitely get advantage, and they will be able to fulfill their duties after this training. So yep, you should be able to kind of build a basic user interaction flows. You should be able to build a kind of Davinci applications, very comfortable with working with the Penguin connectors, so SSO and identity flows. You should be able to, like, we'll be kind of doing an exercise where there will be authentication flow. You should be able to kind of analytics and debug the kind of Davinci flow, and able to configure, test, and Davinci flows via the Postman. So this is the whole objective, and this all things will be covered in the training. So this is a 5 days training. First day, definitely we have to cover our basics. So first day there will be a lot of theory. What are the things we'll be cover? We'll be covering Penguin's introduction and a Davinci introductions, where we're going to talk about security. What are the security principles? What is IAM? What is OAuth and OpenID? Because this is uh, Penguin introductions to Davinci, type of connectors, learn about connectors, uh, like versioning and the lab session. So the first day there will be a lot of theory, and that is required uh, because all the concept we're gonna learn. First, we have to clear about that one, and over the 5 years, 5 days, sorry, over the 5 days, you will definitely understand how come this all the uh, like principles and the introduction or things which we use, how we use in a Davinci, because this all concept are interlinked. Then next day we'll start kind of like deep into the Davinci, where we'll start working on like the core connectors. Then we'll try to build a one specific application like voting registration, where we'll use the HTTP connector with the REST API. The REST APIs are key, So like that's how it give edge for Davinci. So understanding this connector is very important, and we'll try to cover in kind of second day itself how to kind of parse resist response, form validations, which is another important concept, and how to implement a subflow. That how it gives like a subflows gives a Davinci modular approach. You can define your workflows in like modular ways, and you can kind of reuse those components. So that's why understanding of sub workflow is also very important. So that is also we'll try to cover in next second day. Third day, we'll try to cover mostly the Penguin connectors. So we'll try to see how we can kind of leverage the user lifecycle with the Davinci. So we'll using kind of the Penguin connectors to create a user, Penguin connectors to update the user, how we can log in, like how authentication can work with the kind of Penguin connectors, and do a self-service like reset your password, or reset like forgot password, all the good things which go with kind of customer variant, or like we can use into the enterprise variant as well. So that we'll try to cover into day 3, and you should be very comfortable with Penguin connectors by day 3. Day 4, we'll try to create a Penguin, try to touch the Penguin MFA, how to use Penguin MFA into our flow, and then how to expose whatever the flows we are developing in day 2 and 3. We will be expose them for external applications. Like, so whole point of Davinci, which we're going to talk about, you can call those flows from anywhere, and we'll learn that one. And day 4, how to kind of invoke those flows from outside. So we'll create the application, we'll kind of invoke those application from external HTMLs, and like how we can set up a new environment, like how to work on administrative work for for Ping Davinci and Ping One, that we'll learn. Day 5, it will be mostly towards the REST APIs and Postman, and how we can kind of leverage, test, and use a Postman. So that will be learning. So we'll be playing mostly with the Postman and REST APIs in the day 5. And if there is anything is kind of, if we are going like before or after, we can always catch up or anything. And I request everybody to kind of be this session interactive. If there is any question, please ask, stop me and ask, and then we can clarify then and there. Or if there is something there, I can you can post question to me, and I'll try to answer those things. So this is a kind of course content. Anybody wants to do any kind of comments or anything for this would be good.
So,
Ashish, this is
one,
yeah,
Uh-huh.
go
sorry,
ahead,
sorry,
Mukesh.
just one question, Ashish.
Mhm.
We will be using a lot of connectors and multiple MFA flows. Will you also be giving a demo or a tutorial on how to integrate ping federate or ping access with Davinci, or will all these be very specific to Davinci only?
So I can definitely. So that's what I'm this is my way, because there was not specific thing.
Mhm.
Will not. So I can kind of definitely guide you how to integrate like Ping DaVinci with the Ping Federate.
Okay,
No problem with that one. Sure. So right now, but we have a kind of just want to just be clear. We have only the cloud-based lab. Uh, we may not have that
understood.
one. Yeah. So, but I will definitely give you the kind of proper documentation, proper thing.
Mhm.
How to invoke a DaVinci flow from the Ping Federate. So I will include that one into day 5. Sorry.
Okay, okay, sure. Thank you.
Any other comment? Good input.
Similar to what Mukesh mentioned, right? That how to do for Ping Federate when it is on premise versus when it is on cloud only. So that
Uh,
kind of differentiation, if you can provide a clear instruction, because as of now, like majority of us, we are having like hybrid cloud and having instances of Ping Federate in our environments, our
Perfect.
infrastructure. But yeah, future will be that we will also be moving to the managed service, and also in those cases, if you can provide us clear instructions and variations that what all have to do and what would be the right way to go from A to B, that would be really helpful.
Perfect, perfect. And every scenario in every company's environment is different. So it
Hmm.
makes a lot of sense to kind of talk about Ping Federate, which is in-premise on-premise versions versus a cloud. I have also kind of got chance to kind of work in a kind of migration, so I can share my experience with that one. So I can talk about Ping Federate migration. I can talk about that one as well. Sure. Any other inputs? I think.
How identities are being referenced from ping directory to ping one or ping Davinci especially, yeah, that would be required. I know there would be a connector, but yeah,
Character, and that
something
is
to
like about
highlight.
like we are going away from little bit from the topic, because it is something in a ping directory and it's ping sync, and from there. But definitely no worries, I'll kind of
Yeah,
try to cover that one.
yeah, yeah. Just
Yeah,
if it can because uh,
no
no
worries,
one
no
will
worries.
get an end-to-end picture unless and until it is very clear from the core pillars perspective that okay, where the
Perfect, perfect.
identity is stored, how it is interoperable, and then how it is being utilized, right?
Sure, sure, sure. I'm pretty flexible, and I want all of you guys to be kind of benefited from this training, and that's how we can kind of have a build a relationship. So I'm pretty open for that one, and that's why this is. And feel free to kind of any other concept you want to cover. We can definitely get out a time and then involve that one.
Thank you so much, Ashish. Thank you. This will really be helpful.
Perfect. Thank you. Sure. So I hope you are able to see my screen, and this is a presentation. So this is a day one. As I said, there will be a lot of theory today because we have to cover our basics. So this is a first slide. Like if you go into any kind of pravachan, you have to listen to this because without this slide, no security training can be complete. So this has kind of base security pillars which we have to understand the security first. So when we talk about a security pillars, we should be able to understand what is authentication, what is authorization, what is availability, integrity, auditing, and resilience, and kind of confidentiality. if we don't understand any of the technology or any of the terminology clearly, then definitely we are we are. It will be very difficult to understand the security or cyber security domain. So first, it is very important pillar is authentication. So how we can kind of understand the authentication. So I hope everybody in this training would have applied for the passport. Passport is a kind of when we apply for the passport, government asks for a lot of documentation. Why those documentation required? Because government always want to make sure the guy who is applying is the correct guy. Nobody is kind of impersonating or faking the what it is. So if I am Ashish is applying for passport, I have to verify or validate to the government that okay, I am the Ashish and I am the genuine guy and I am only applying on my behalf, and that's how it is. So what does it mean? The point is authentication. Authentication is to validate or provide that who I am claiming, I am the real guy. That is what the authentication. And same goes into cyber terminology or the IT world as well. When in right now, if you compare IT world completely, it is based on computer interactions. So that's why it is very important to validate a user's identity. And how we does that one? We does traditionally we used to do it via the kind of username and password. Traditionally, like few days back or like few years back, I should say, when you try to access any application, you have to create your account. And when I say you have to create your account, you have to give some information to the those sites, and then you have to create a username and password. And while accessing next time, you have to use that username and password. uh, when you enter your username and password, that's how you authenticate yourself. That's how you validate yourself that okay, I'm Ashish, which I have created account earlier, and I'm coming back and logging in. So I will talk about MFA and SSO in next slides, but I think the high level authentication definition is clear. If anybody have anything, you can ask. So in short, authentication is process to verify or validate who the user is. The next comes authorization. So authorization. So I hope everybody has a bank account, and when you log into your bank account, you can do all sorts of operations. Like you can kind of see your bank balance. If you want to transfer, if you want to receive, all sorts of good things, you can do it with your bank account. But if you want to see my account, definitely you will not be able to see my account. But if you have a problem, then what you do, you call to service desk. And if anybody else has a problem, service desk will be able to see their account. And if Ashish has a problem, they can able to see my account as well. So they have some extra privileges, which we have some different privileges. But again, the service desk guy from the bank, he will he or she will have some extra privileges so that he is able to see somebody else account as well. So how come they are able to kind of have how they gain extra privileges? That is nothing but authorization. Authorization, it means what are the kind of as per your capabilities or as per your role, what are the kind of activities you can perform. That is also valid in IT scenarios. We all are working on a different tools or different application. Like if we take example of Ping Federate. In Ping Federate also we have various levels of roles. Like we have admin roles, we have auditor roles, we have user roles, and everybody according to their role, they are able to perform a different levels of activities. In short, authorization authorization is what kind of activity you can as per your capabilities or as per your rules, and how we can kind of achieve that one, achieve that activities via RBAC and airbag. RBAC is nothing but role based access control, and airbag is attribute based access control. So what is RBAC? So you user get the kind of the privileges based on their roles. We assign a user a specific role, and according to user's role, they are able to perform certain activities in there. in that applications. So right now we took example of ping federate, and we talked about admin access, auditor access, or user access. It is a kind of very good example of role-based access control. The next thing comes is the airbag. Airbag is nothing but attribute-based access control. So take example like uh, again bank example. I like the financial terms. So we can have like one like if you go into any bank, there will be the manager of that branch. So the branch manager will able to kind of access most of the bank, and he will be having certain different privileges as compared to all other branch accounts. He can do certain extra things. So what is another factor we are adding? We are adding a location. Okay. So when any customer is from that specific branch customer, the bank manager will be able to perform some extra activities, but he will not be able to perform on other bank accounts, other branch customers. So what we are trying to add is here we are adding an extra location factor, and how we can get that location factor via the location attribute. So that's why authorization always tie not only with the role but also with the attribute for more fine granular access. Or so when we add any attribute or any other extra like attribute for granting a authorization, it is because of the airbag. Similarly, we can take example of like there are a lot of global or multinational companies. So there are manager from like, and if we take example, any company who is there in India and as well as in US, we don't want to like and like in a sales, take example of sales. So there are India sales are different and US sales are different. We want to kind of have like if there is a India sales guys, we want to just grant him a privilege only for the India sales, and US sales should able to see only the US sales. So uh, maybe the both kind of sales guys have a same role, but how we can kind of grant that kind of fine grain access by adding that location or country into the equation, and how we can add that one via the attribute. So that's why understanding of RBAC and ABAC for authorization context is very important. I hope that that point is clear. If anybody has any question, please ask that, because authentication and authorizations are pretty important to understand. We're going to play along on those concepts. We'll use this other concept as well, but I hope those things are clear.
So is
Silence.
Davinci also working on something like Davinci also has those capabilities of setting up the roles for a specific thing, or this is like Davinci doesn't have much of to do here and it's all being managed the way we are managing as of now. We have a lot of luck, all the IGA part, what we are doing, right?
Yep. So good question. Okay, so Davinci is a kind of orchestrated tool. You can define how you want to kind of define your authorization. So authorization can also happens based on assigning a role based on entitlements, and you can assign that roles and entitlements to user, and that can be like lead to the authorization. So yes, it works. Authentication and authorizations can be kind of configured via the Davinci.
Okay. Okay.
It depends on the flow. It depends on the logics.
Hmm.
Uh, Good question. Thank you. Any other question? Okay. The third important pillar is availability. So if whatever the genius, genius mind comes and develop the application, but what's the point if that application is not available? you know, Nobody likes an application which crashes so frequently. So that's why availability is a very important concept, and that's why whenever like who are kind of architecting, I think I can see a lot of like senior people or experienced people. Whenever they architect anything, they have to take care of the we have to they have to take care about the high availability. What is high availability means is like, we are configuring the services on different nodes in a same site, so that in that way, if one node goes down, the load can be taken care by another node, and that services will not be disrupted. So that's the whole point. So it is very important, whatever the good software we developed, but it they have to be available for the users so that they can use those services and get benefited. So availability is also very important point in the security. Whenever we develop any application, we have to make sure it's always be available to the service. Yep. Then another point comes integrity. Integrity is right now whole IT is on internet, and like based on internet. So any message which I am sending, it passes through my system, all the 7 layers on my computer, and then reaches to another point in the server. There are a lot of point when it goes out through the wire. There are a lot of time and a lot of hackers. They can change in between. So take example, if some of you are transferring the money and somebody knows and add 2 zeros at the end. So that's why it is very important when we are kind of doing any operation, we have to make sure the message doesn't get changed or altered in between. And that's why the integrity is very important pillar of the security. So the point is, whenever we're transferring or like we're sending any message or anything, it should not be changed in between. Whatever I'm sending, it has to be received as it is on the other end. And how we can do that one? There are like ways of hashing. You can kind of hash any string or any message. Hashing, like, it's irreversible algorithm. When you do a hashing of any string, it generate a unique string, and using the same algorithm on the message, you can generate a similar kind of hash. How your password gets stored, on a Windows, it is also kind of hashed and keep on system. That's how Windows can authenticate. So hashing is also very important, or integrity is also very important pillar of the security. We have to always make sure the integrity of a message is always preserved. Any question or anything on availability or integrity? The next point is auditing. you know so we all have a different role into organization, like, or any specific applications we talked about, like admin rules or something, and everybody, like, perform those activities on daily time, in day-to-day routine. So auditing is, we have to always pinpoint or like able to say it, that okay, if this thing has been done, has been done by who. Like, take example, one rook employee, he comes in and frustrated with something, and he comes up and delete everything. We have to really kind of able to kind of find it out who the guy was and what he has done in the, like, in that way. What if we are not able to find it out? It will be kind of completely mess for ourselves, correct? So that's why auditing is very important pillar. With Why the auditing, like, we have to make sure whatever happening, it has been logged. From compliance perspective also, auditing is very important. Like, there are a lot of SOX compliant or HIPAA compliant. They make sure and they ask for that, like proofs, how we are managing the auditing, how we are tracking what are the activity happens in applications. So yes, auditing is also very important aspects in a security. We have a PAM tool, like, PAM tool always have a session recording. What does this mean? Is session recording is like, you are making sure if anybody is using a privileged account and whatever, like after logging in using a privileged account, what are the activities they are doing. So that's another level of auditing. We want to make sure the things are happening correctly, and if there is anything happening wrong, we should be able, or like, we should be able to point it out, who is doing what. So that's the whole point of auditing. The another aspects of the security comes is resilience. So we talked about availability, but availability and like, resilience is like, if anything goes wrong, like, everybody has a bad day, and same goes for the kind of software as well. Right now, recently we had a kind of the Microsoft outage. Before that one, we had AWS outage. So whatever you follow, but again, there is some percentage, some chances are there for failure. And resilience is how, if there is a failure, how quickly or how best we can recover from those failure. It's a resilience. We can see in like another terminology for availability, we talked about high availability, but resilience, there is another aspect, can be disaster recovery. If we have all the application only in one site, and at the site if there is a kind of some natural calamity, how we can kind of will not be able to serve in that case, correct? So that's why how we design our like applications is we like take care of another aspect called disaster recovery. We don't only not only create our services only in one side, we also deploy those services another site as well. So in that way, if there is a one natural calamity or anything at one site, services always can be like served from another site. So that's why high availability in disaster recovery, they are very important aspect for our services. And resilience is related with those both the factors. Like if there is anything goes wrong, how quickly or how best we can kind of come back from those failures or those loss of services. Then important part come is confidentiality. Confidentiality is you can kind of like you can understand it with the encryption or decryption, like how secure we are passing the mechanism or messages from one environment to another environment. So in confidentiality, we can talk about PKI, like the public key infrastructure, where we can have public key and a private key, synchronous and asynchronous encryptions. Synchronous, encryption is like we can use a similar key that is like to encrypt and decrypt the message. So that is like when we are using a same key, it's called a synchronous. Uh, uh, Symmetric encryption, and there is asymmetric encryptions, which is kind of go with the PKI infrastructure, which is public key and public private key infrastructure, where we can kind of encrypt a message with the private key and decrypt it by the public key. So the confidentiality is like related with how secure we are transmitting our message from one point to another point. Hope these security pillars are clear to you. It's pretty important to understand them. Any question or any comment above on this slide?
Ashish, uh, Ashish, regarding one question, regarding the auditing. So in auditing, like, do we have? I mean, Davinci provide like we can export the logs, audit logs to the like Splunk or Elastic or on any like where we can see the logs. I mean,
Yes.
no, like
So
Splunk, like. Mhm.
yes. So there are webhooks provided by so definitely it has, you can export them into Splunk or something, and Davinci itself provide a kind of the auditing. We'll see that one in the training. So that's why when the security principle lie like is applicable for all the tools, whatever, like we are not like Ping Federate, Ping Access, Ping Davinci, Ping One, talk about SailPoint, any IM tools, if they are not taking care of all the 7 points, then they are not in cybersecurity. They are not fit for the cybersecurity. So that has this is all the principle has to be followed, and we'll see like
Mhm.
on all this, and like availability and resilience, they are in cloud. Ping Davinci is in cloud, so they are taking care at their end. So they make sure when you talk about whenever you get chance, talk about, ask them like which environment they are, like how they are set up a node in that way, so they can kind of give a kind of idea, like okay, how you will, they'll make sure how they are managing high availability, how they are managing resilience and all the things. So yes, they take care of this thing. You may not be able to see Ping Federate, you should be able to see in your like server nodes, definitely, but you may not be able to see physically how they are managing a Davinci. But if you talk with the Ping one, they will be able to tell you like how they are managing in that way.
Okay.
Make sense?
Thanks, Ashish. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, we talked about authentication, and very important aspect is a multi-factor authentication. So traditionally, what we used to do is like when we used to log in, the username and password was the only way. But hackers are very smart. They, if they can hack your password, the brute force or dictionary attack was very common in old days. Like if once they are able to get your password, they can easily hack your account and different thing can happen. We know all those things. So that's why there was another way of authentication was discovered. So what if we really understand the word? If we break down the word multi-factor, it's like multi ways of authenticating the user. And what are the ways we can authenticate? Something the user knows. So something the user knows means the password, something the user knows. It can be password or any kind of the secret which only user knows. Something the user has. If there is a kind of so if anybody of you has a secure ID or RSA secure ID or anything, so they give you kind of physical token or something, correct? From where you can enter a kind of we generate the OTP and you can enter the OTP. So that is only like if like there can be OTP via the kind of the software based or hardware based, and which can be verified. So something is a password, something user has like any kind of token, soft token or hard token, something the user is. It is related with the kind of your biometric. You can your biometric facial metrics or like your retina scan or something which only user can verify. So this is and there can be another factor. Somewhere the user is like some of the application you can only access from your office. If you are like you have same role same credentials, but if you try to log in from your home, those application will not be you will not be able to access those applications. So the location is also another factor which get adds into multi-factor authentications. So these are the kind of major factor into for authenticating the user. Take example of like we are all using the ATM card. Then ATM card is a kind of prime example of multi-factor authentication. It uses a what something you have. So you have ATM card, and then something so that the pin is used, like the 4-digit pin or 6-digit pin which we enter at the time. It is a kind of so it is using more than one factor to authenticate the guy like who is trying to transact from the money